Thank you, Andrew. I am truly honored to introduce my former colleague and an Alabama broadcast legend, James Spann. James has worked as a chief meteorologist, or rather a meteorologist, for 46 years, earning numerous accolades, Emmy Awards, and national honors, including ones from the American Meteorological Society and the National Weather Association. He has served as ABC 3340's only chief meteorologist, and it was there that he was a colleague, a mentor, and if you've worked in news, you'll understand, family. James deeply invests in the people of Alabama. He spends his days traveling, speaking to community groups, programming weather radios, and visiting schools. He visits so many schools that Publix has an off-the-menu item called the James Spann cake. He leads children's worship at Double Oak Community Church, is board chair of the Grandview Medical Center, and still finds time for his wife, Karen, his sons, for whom he served as a baseball announcer during their high school days, and his pets, the raccoons who he cares for in the ABC 3340 parking lot and who have been known to scare an unsuspecting news crew returning home. James has taught us valuable lessons: to invest in others, to own and learn from your mistakes, and don't be a bonehead. I know that one. On April 27th, 2011, James more than likely saved my life. I was heading into an EF4 tornado in Pleasant Grove, and he fortunately was there to stop me. Through every storm, every loss, and every moment of rebuilding, James has shown me how important it is to care. Not just forecast the weather, but to truly feel for every Alabamian affected by weather in the state. And as news consumption and technology has evolved, James has led the way. He's had a weather blog for 20 years. In 2006, I want to get this right or James will correct me, 2006 launched a podcast, and in 2008 was an early adapter to a platform we then knew as Twitter, now amassing 600,000 followers. Wherever he can connect with people, that's where he is. So that leads us today with the launch of the Alabama Weather Network. It's a 24/7 platform, the only one in the state that provides life-saving information to people anytime, anywhere in the state. So please join me in welcoming the man who knows the location of every barbecue joint in Alabama, James Spann.
Whoa, I'm not that good. I mean, wow, you're my new publicist and writer. Listen, I see a lot of familiar faces in here, so thank you for coming. Most people, when I'm speaking, they don't show up, so thank you. And most of you know that I am typically speaking this time of the year to third graders, okay? And so I know some of you guys would fit right in with my normal crowd. And by the way, third grade is the greatest. If I did not do this for a living, I would teach third grade science. Third grade, that's where you want to teach. Third graders, they understand sarcasm, they think you're funny, they've got the cognitive skill to learn middle school level science, they're still sweet, and they don't smell bad yet. I bet you've never heard of my hometown. I bet you've never heard of my hometown. I bet you have never, ever heard of my hometown. I am from Greenville, Alabama. Y'all never heard of Greenville? Come on. Has anybody ever seen Forrest Gump? Where is Forrest Gump from? Greenbow. Thanks for playing, all right? So who wrote Forrest Gump? Come on. I'm used to third graders in a gym. This is too quiet. Winston Groom, okay? I actually served on a board with Winston Groom down at the University of Alabama for several years, and before he passed away in 2020, I asked him one time, I said, Winston, did you pattern Greenbow after Greenville? He said, I sure did. So really and truly, I am from Greenbow, Alabama, all right? I never thought I'd live to be 18. I never, ever, ever, ever thought I would live to be 18 years old. Now, this is how old I am, by the way. I started school before all of you in this room were born. I started school in the fall of 1962, okay? 1962, W.O. Palmer Elementary School. And by the way, for years I kept asking my mom, I cannot remember my kindergarten teacher's name. And she finally told me, you never went to kindergarten. Back in those days, you just go to first grade. So I started first grade in the fall of 1962. Are there any historians in this room? What global event happened in October 1962? Yes, thanks for playing. The Cuban Missile Crisis. So here we are, these incoming first graders, and for those that don't know, the Soviet Union had nuclear warheads, nuclear missiles on the island of Cuba aimed at the southeast United States. You think times are weird now? You should have lived in the 60s. So here we are, incoming first graders, kind of tentative and scared to death, and within the first 2 weeks of school, they were teaching us how to get under these little wooden desks if nuclear missiles were coming in. Now, me and my friends, we weren't the sharpest tools in the shed, but we're thinking, what good is this going to do? You got a nuclear warhead coming in and we're going to get into some little wooden desk? No, all of us guys in that first grade class, we made a decision. We were going to go out there on the playground and watch the end of the world with a front row seat, all right? We were going to melt down like men. I never thought I would live to be 18. So we had the Cuban Missile Crisis going on. And then the summer after first grade, and by the way, when I was a kid, we didn't have, phones, Xbox, video games, tweeters. We didn't have any of this stuff. We just play in the woods all day. I had a really bad triple dog dare experience in the woods of South Butler County, Alabama. Places you've never heard of before, where my grandmama used to live. Georgiana, McKinsey, Ebenezer, Industry. Those are the woods where I grew up. I had a really bad triple dog dare. And by the way, this is some good advice for you men in here. Don't go down this path. And by the way, if you get a triple dog dare in South Butler County, you have to do it. My friends in the woods of South Butler County triple dog dared me to go to the bathroom on an electric fence. I was convulsing with electrical current going through my body, and there was smoke coming from places I can't talk about in this room. I mean, I literally thought I was dying, and my friends were pointing and laughing at me while I was dying. Nora will never invite me back to this thing, by the way, after these stories. I'm sorry. And then soon after that, the high school boys started going to some place called Vietnam. We didn't know what it was. We didn't know what it meant, didn't know where it was, nothing about it. But we knew that some of those boys weren't coming back. So between the nukes, the electric fence, and the Vietnam, it's a miracle I'm here. The next year, I was in second grade, fall of 1963. Historians, here's a question for you. What global event occurred in November 1963? This was actually an event here in this country. The President of the United States was assassinated, John F. Kennedy. The month before that, one morning, my mother told me that the night before my father had left the house. She didn't know where he was, and she didn't know if he would ever come back. And to make a long story short, he was gone. My father left me and my mom in the middle of the night the month before Kennedy was assassinated in 1963. And all of a sudden, life changed for me. Life got really hard. How much money do you think me and my mom were worth to that man? Not one red cent. All of a sudden, we were broke, we were hurting, we were dying on the inside. We didn't know what to do. And it crushed me like a bug on a windshield. You don't know how bad it hurts unless it's happening to you, or it happened to you. And for some of you, it did maybe. For some of you, you don't understand. But I will tell you that it was horrific. But I'll tell you one good thing. One good thing did happen as a result of that. And by the way, I have no siblings. Anybody else an only child here? I'm probably the only child in this whole room. Everybody I know. I got 5 brothers and 5 sisters. I don't have any. It's just me. It was me and my mom. A family of 3 became a family of 2. But I choose to look back on that and remember the one good thing that happened with that. By the way, can y'all keep a secret? Can I trust these people? I don't believe you. Hey, when you leave those doors, don't you tell my secret, all right? Here's one secret about me. I'm not good at anything I do. I'm not. Anybody remember Snowmageddon? You will never hear me say dusting or no travel problems again. Oh man, we could just fill up the whole time with Snowmageddon stories. I do other things. I do children's worship at Double Oak down in Shelby County. I'm not the best children's worship leader. I volunteered in healthcare for a long time. For 20 years, I've served as the board chair of a large hospital here. My hospital is called Grandview Medical Center. I just spent 2 hours down there this morning. I'm not the best hospital board guy, but let me tell you something. Hey, listen up. I will work harder than anybody else in this room, anybody, to accomplish a goal, anybody. And you know where I learned that work ethic? When I was 7 years old, when my father walked out, because guess what I had to do? Go to work. There were no child labor laws back in the 60s. And as a matter of survival, I had to go to work. I worked odd jobs, day, night, I just worked. And I learned that work ethic, and that work ethic has really carried me through life. Any success I've had, that's a big part of that. It's the work ethic. And I had to go to work when I was 7. A couple of years later, another bad thing happened to me. At the end of fourth grade, W.O. Palmer Elementary School in Greenville, and those are my people. You don't even know where that is, but if you ever go to Mobile, you have to go through Greenville. All right? You want to know about my people? You stop in Greenville. Those are my people. But my mom, at the end of fourth grade, said that we had to move. And I was crushed again because all my friends were there. My world was in Greenville. I loved it. When I go to Greenville today, it's like being dipped in healing waters. And we had to move. We had to move to some nasty sounding place called Tuscaloosa. Y'all ever heard of that? Hello. I didn't want to move there. I'll never forget, before we moved, one of my fourth grade buddies, he said, "Hey, Tuscaloosa stinks." We moved there, and guess what? It did. I walked out the door the first morning, it smelled horrible. And I'm thinking, how does this kid know? Later, I would learn that it was an operation on the Warrior River run by Gulf States Paper Corporation. Y'all ever smelled a paper mill? I've never smelled one before, but you really don't notice it the next day. But looking back on that, I think that it was a necessity. And by the way, when we moved to Tuscaloosa, we moved into an apartment about the size of a bathroom here. We had no money, we had no friends, we had no hope. Me and my mom, we were two strangers in a strange land. And let me chase a rabbit. Within 5 miles of where you live, you've got a family just like that. Maybe a family of two, a mom and a child, or a mom and different children. And they have no money, and they have no friends, and they have no hope. I think it's our responsibility to kind of take care of them, because you see, when we moved to Tuscaloosa, I will never, ever, ever forget the kindness of some individuals that folks that were showing to me and my mom. The courtesy, the kindness, and that was life-changing. Encouraging words. Guys, it's not that hard. My principal at Verner Elementary was a guy named Archie Hitson. Mr. Hitson knew my story, and he would seek me out in the hall when I was in 5th grade, and I had no friends. And he would say things to me like, "You look good today," and I know I didn't, but I started to believe him. He would say things to me like, "I believe in you," and I honestly believed that man believed in me. And he would say things like, "It's going to be okay." And I started to believe him. Encouraging words can change a life. It's not that hard. We live in a world of haters out here. If you don't believe me, follow me on Facebook. Gosh. I'm not going down this path. I can post a picture of a sunset, and within 5 minutes they're fighting about Trump, chemtrails, poison, and they start cussing at each other in the comment section. Some of those people can cuss the horns off a bull, and then they start cussing at me. Is anybody in here that's doing that? I'm going to find these people one day. Encouraging words. I think we should use words that build others up instead of tearing them down. It's rough out there. I've had more threats on me in the last year than I've had in the last 47 years. I can't tell you how rough it's getting, but you know, I look back on the Tuscaloosa move, and I think for some reason I had to move there, and I sure didn't want to, but it's funny how things work out. In your life, you can go back and you can connect the dots. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can't do that. Something happens, you don't know why until later. But I look back on it, and I can connect the dots now. And I think we had to move there because for those that don't understand this, Tuscaloosa is the weather capital of the world, okay? You think the weather's interesting or different now? You should have lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama in the decade of the 1970s. At the end of my junior year in high school, May 27th, 1973, had a horrible F4 tornado come through a small town called Brent. Y'all ever heard of that? Y'all don't get out much, do you? We got to get these guys out more often. It's in Bibb County, southwest of here. By the way, I'm good at nothing, but I'm good at one thing: Alabama people, culture, and geography. I know this state better than anybody in this room, anybody, because I travel these roads every day. But there was a horrible tornado in Brent on a Sunday night. It killed a man in the Brent Baptist Church by the name of Andrew Mitchell. 4 other people in town died. We were sent down that night as volunteers because in high school I had a ham radio license, and there were no cell phones in the 70s. And that was the first time I ever saw tornado damage with my own eyes. I'll never forget what I saw, the darkness, the human suffering, the scent of death. First responders will tell you about it. It won't come off of you for 3 days. Nobody really knows what it is. And then the next year, when I was a senior, we had the largest outbreak of tornadoes on record in the United States, April 3rd, 4th, 1974. And that one night, we had over 80 people killed in the state from tornadoes all over the northern part. And again, I was sent north, and the school gave me 3 days off to volunteer. First stop that night was a little place called Jasper. Y'all ever been there? We really got to get these out. I'm going to get you on a bus, and we're going to go over a tour of the whole state, all right? It's in Walker County. And for some reason, they put me in the hospital. And back in those days, it was not Walker Baptist Medical Center. It was the People's Hospital in downtown Jasper. And they put me, for some reason, in the emergency department, the ED. Why, I don't know, but I was stringing up antennas and cables, and we were busy getting everything ready. The links established back to Birmingham. The Red Cross used to be right down the street. We got the link established, and I looked. I opened my eyes. I saw things that night a 17-year-old child should never see. The graphic nature of the wounds from people coming into that small ER, it was a life-changing thing for me. I've not talked about what I saw privately. I've not talked about it publicly, and I never will. I don't want to. I had night terrors for 1 year. You wake up in the middle of the night, and you sweat and you shake with a nightmare about what you saw. And I thought Jasper was horrific. The next day, they sent us to Guin. Y'all ever been to Guin? It's in Marion County. And I thought the world was ending. Listen, I used to love storms. I wanted tornadoes. I thought they were fascinating. I didn't think about the human impact until Brent the year before, but Jasper, to me, and I'm very old, I believe that's the most violent tornado in the state in my lifetime. Well-constructed, well-engineered, brick frame homes taken off the slab with nothing left. Any piece of a tree still standing was totally debarked. And we would wind up in Huntsville the next day. And I think for some reason I had to experience that to prepare me for what I've done for all these years. And that was called a super outbreak. Those days are very rare. They happen once every 40 years or so. We had a day like that on March 21st, 1932, and I was not on television back then. We had a day like that in February of 1884. But let's jump ahead. The next super outbreak after 1974, does anybody know what year it was? Don't say it. You can't cheat. 2011. How many of you lived here April 27, 2011? Some of you were not here. Just to give you the quick summary of that day, on one day we had 62 tornadoes. 252 people died. That's inexcusable for anybody in this room. Anybody, you or me, all right? These were precious people that died. I've memorized almost every single name. I know their stories. I know many of their surviving family members. Some were infants. Some were people my age. Some lived in the city. Some lived in the country. Some were high income. Some were low income. And we've got to do better. And the warnings that day were darn good. Let me tell you what, the warnings were darn good. In some cases, you had 40 minutes to get to a safe place, and yet all these people died. And what we learned that day, what we do is not enough. Physical science, that's all I know. My first major in college was electrical engineering, and then I changed to meteorology. That's all I know. We're asking people to modify their behavior to save their life, and maybe we just don't know anything about that. We don't know anything about communication and messaging. And so what we've done, and by the way, I didn't talk about it for 6 months, much like the 1974 thing. I needed to go through the grieving process. These are my people. Hey, I was born here. I will die here. I will be buried here. And these are my people that died. I went through some phases of anger, some phases of depression, and if you know me, that's not me. But I needed to do that mentally to get through that. But 6 months later, I wanted to roll up my sleeves and fix it. What happened? And that's what we've learned. So we brought in these brilliant social scientists that understand human behavior, behavioral scientists, to help us. And I think we're a lot better now. We're a lot better. And when's the next super outbreak going to happen? Well, you know, if the pattern repeats itself, it'd be out there toward 2050 or something. But listen, all it takes is how many? One tornado in the whole state. If that sucker's coming down your street, guess what that day is? That's your April 27th. So 4 years ago, on March 25th, 2021, my house was hit. By the way, let me just say, by the way, I can tell some of you have checked out. Some of you right now are thinking, when's this guy going to stop talking? But I promise, I'm almost done. I know there's somebody designated in this room at 12:58 to do this. You're leaving at 12:58. I can talk all day. I'm almost done. But some of you have checked out because you think tornadoes don't happen where you live. Everybody in here's got an excuse. Oh, I've got this big ridge over here and I got this valley here. We live in the valley. Tornadoes never happen in this valley. That's what they thought where I lived. I live in a valley between two big ridges in North Shelby County. Let me tell you what, none of that is valid. Maybe your grandmama says tornadoes always split and go around us. No, they don't. That's insanity. It doesn't matter where you live, what you've heard. They can happen to anybody. Tornadoes happen to real people at a real place at a real time. And I'm very thankful on that particular day for our tornado. This was an EF3. This was a larger tornado that came through a very densely populated part of northern Shelby County. We had no loss of life. And by the grace of God, the roof stayed on our house. The damage was horrible. But let me tell you one thing. I'm so thankful for the men and women that just showed up at our house the next day. They showed up. They didn't want money. They had heavy equipment. Victor, a lot of our buddies showed up that day. It was like, this is what it's about. And I'll never forget their kindness. They started to restore some order. They got some trees off the house. They cut through. We could get down the driveway, and they just started to give us some hope. And let me just say also that day that 6 people did lose their life in Ohatchee. That's in rural Calhoun County. And again, a lot of the deaths we had that day came in mobile homes. That's a talk for a different day. We've got to do better for people in trailers. You understand that a majority of Alabamians away from municipalities live in mobile homes, right? And understand, I've heard some weather people get on television, and they're very condescending to people that live in trailers. Don't you do that. You don't work for me, and don't you do that. I wish I had a trailer when I was in 5th grade, in 6th grade. Instead of living in a bathroom, I could live in a trailer. It offers wonderful, affordable housing to people in this state that need it. But during a tornado, it's a death trap. And it's not their fault they live in a mobile home. It's our fault because we're not good enough at giving them adequate warning or a place to go. But having said all that, we got to do something. We got to be better. So as consumer habits change, I'm changing. We started a new statewide network a couple of weeks ago. We're headquartered here in Birmingham, and we're taking care of the whole state. Like I talked about, I know this state better than anybody in here. Anybody in here been to, let's see, let me throw out a couple of places. How about Pansy, Bertha, Lower Peachtree, Waterloo? I know these places. I've been to the schools. I've been down that street. I can close my eyes. I've been there. I do school programs from the Tennessee state line to Gulf Shores. My first school opening is in 2027. I travel this state every day. I know the people, I know the culture, I know the geography, and I know the need. There's a lot of underserved rural parts of this state. Hey, just because you live out in the country, is your life any less precious? No! If you live in the city, live in the country, it doesn't matter. We're going to fix that. We'll have the resources, the people, the right things we need to be successful. And we are doing a simulation tonight. But next time a big hurricane comes up on Gulf Shores, Dauphin Island, Fort Morgan, the Florida Panhandle, we might be on the air for 4 days in a row, nonstop. If we have a major tornado outbreak, we might be on the air for 24 hours, nonstop. We have the people, the resources to do that. I'm very, very excited, and I think I was born to do that. I don't know why. I'm just some low-income child from rural South Alabama, born to be standing on a green wall when there are tornadoes flying around here. But a couple of things real quick, and I'll stop, because I could keep going, but I'm done. Here's your test. Alabama's tornado season starts in what month? It starts with an N. Thanks for playing. What's funny, every time we have tornadoes at Thanksgiving and Christmas, people say, we've never had tornadoes at Thanksgiving and Christmas before in my lifetime. That's the middle of the season. I could write a book on tornadoes on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day where I've spent away from my family working them. November through May, that's it, that's the season. Hurricane season is June through November. The other months of the year, that's hurricane season. And, the one thing I've learned, I challenged the social scientist, what's the number one reason people died April 27, 2011? What do you think it was? And I'll stop with this one. I could go on all day, but I'll stop with the number one reason. What was it? Man, I'm used to third graders in the gym. The siren mentality. The notion that you are going to hear some magical World War II air raid siren before a tornado strikes your home. That's insanity. We got to stop that. And I beg you that if that's what you believe, please don't think that anymore. It really dawned on me the next year, January 23rd, 2012, we had a tornado in Center Point in Clay. A 16-year-old girl named Christina Heichelbeck was killed in Clay. 4 a.m., and the grieving father later that day said to the media, "We didn't hear the siren." Come on! That mentality killed that precious girl. And I'm not throwing her parents under the bus. I know them. Daryl and Carol Heichelbeck, they want me to share their story with you so you would stop it and it wouldn't kill somebody in your family. And phones are marvelous. They're great, but your phone sometimes during a genuine tornado emergency can be a brick. I know that everybody in this room has a what? Weather radio. I believe that about 6% of Alabamians have one. Everybody in here has got a smoke alarm. It's the law. But guess what? If you live here long enough, you're going to have more encounters with tornadoes than fires in your lifetime. It's like a smoke alarm in your house for a tornado. Go get one. Weather radio. You can get them anywhere. I'm not supposed to tell you where, but Publix and Walmart and any place like that. Guys, it's not that hard. But my wish for you, and I'll stop, my wish for you is that you enjoy what you do. That's my wish for you, is that you figured out what it is in life that you've been called to do, your passion in life, and you cannot wait to wake up in the morning and go to work every day. That's me. I've been blessed for 47 years. I know what you're thinking. I've got the easiest job in the world, and maybe I do. But during the week, I sleep between 1 and 4 a.m. How many hours of sleep is that? The right answer is not enough. But I don't care. I'm energized. I feel better now than I felt when I was 25 years old. And I cannot wait to wake up at 4 o'clock and do what I do. And that's my wish for you. It is. And as I close, I just want to encourage you, whatever you do for a living, that the little things that have helped me in my career is, number one, loving what I do. I can't wait. I hope that's the case for you. Number two, I do my best to do it with integrity. We all make mistakes, but I think that's important. But the number one reason I think I've had little success, in addition to the work ethic, it's the shifting of the emphasis from me to the people that we serve. I've had a lot of interviews with me. A lot of kids have applied for a job wanting to do weather, and the first thing I do is check their social media accounts. I had one candidate, 99 of the last 100 photographs are photographs of the candidate. And what are you telling people? It's all about you. No, it's not. It's not about you. It's about the people we serve. If you have a servant's heart, you will be very successful. With the work ethic, integrity, and a servant's heart, and it's a joy to be able to do this. It's a joy to have the Alabama Weather Network online, and it's a joy to be here today. Thank you guys for coming. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll see you. I did not mean to talk. Yes, sir.
We've got a few minutes for some questions, if there are any.
If you're mad, I have to go to work. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, go.
So, 41 years ago, I think you spoke to Lee and I in elementary school.
Yeah, that's what you remember. Which school? Which school? Mountain Brook Elementary. I still am in that auditorium every year at Mountain Brook Elementary School. Same auditorium, same school. That is a great school. Thank you for remembering me. That's great.
So, what technology at that time?
There's no doubt it's the radar technology. You know, we can have, and we're going to, listen, this new thing we're building, we're going to have cameras in every county. We're going to have ultimately 150 fixed cameras. We're going to have all these resources, but you got to have radar. We can have 1 million cameras, and you can't see everything. When I started doing the weather on Channel 13 in 1979, this is how old I am, we had an Enterprise color radar. That was a big deal. But now we have Doppler radar. That came along in the 90s. We can see wind velocity in a storm. Now we have dual polarization radar. We can see debris being lofted. Soon we're going to have phased array radar. Instead of a parabolic antenna that's spinning, there's no moving parts and it's in real time. So the radar technology is critical, but we still need the ground truth. We need more trained spotters. And you can be thankful I did not do a tornado spotting lesson today. I thought about it, but I said, no, I'll do that. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Warning fatigue. Warning fatigue is a real problem, and let me just say this, the hype is out of control. The hype is out of control, whether it's news or weather. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Everybody hypes up a foggy day, a day when it's 90 degrees. Guys, save it for when there's a really life-threatening situation. That's the one promise. We're not going to do that in this new business, but I do believe that there's a lot of warning fatigue. And having said that, in 2011, we had a problem with a high false alarm ratio with the weather enterprise. The false alarm ratio was 80%. 80% of tornado warnings were false alarms, and blood's on our hands for that reason. But now it's down to 27. The Weather Service in Birmingham has done an amazing job. We've challenged each other to be better, and we are in the Birmingham office, but it is a problem. In fact, a lot of people have turned off the wireless emergency alerts on their phone because they don't want to get an Amber Alert, or they don't want to get something else. So we have worked on reducing the hyperbole and reducing the false alarms. Yes, sir.
How are the cuts that national cuts in funding for NOAA and the Weather Service?
It will not affect us at all. I was very concerned initially when the cuts were coming, but one of my good friends, Neil Jacobs, is going to be the administrator of NOAA. And Dr. Jacobs has gone through his confirmation hearings, and as soon as he is confirmed, we'll fix that problem. The director of the National Weather Service is one of my dearest friends, Ken Graham. Ken and I finished college at Mississippi State. Between Dr. Jacobs and Ken, it will be built back up, and the temporary shortage will be fixed. I'm not worried about that anymore. I was for a while, but I'm not now with the right people coming in. Yes, sir.
So, November the 14th of 1979, I met you and Dwayne Sylvia at Channel 13 to review and prepare for your description of Hurricane Frederick.
Oh, wow. My first week in Birmingham was September 1979. I was a 23-year-old scared to death child, and I was the main weather anchor at Channel 13. And the first week was the week of Hurricane Frederick, which was a devastating hurricane on the Alabama Gulf Coast. They sent Silty and I down there. Thank you for your help.
Well, thank you. Thank you for what you do. I'm curious, about 10 years ago, we had the squadron commander for the hurricane hunters from Eastern Air Force Base come and talk to Kiwanis about where they were getting in not just the ability to predict where hurricane will land, but the intensity. Have they improved that?
Oh, these guys are heroes. Those Air Force Reserve folks that fly to Keesler, what they do, they get into hurricanes, and understand, it's brutal. It is a brutal flight. It is violent in that cabin. They take little white instrument packages, like we launch on the balloons, but they drop them down the bottom of the aircraft. On the way down, they measure wind and pressure. And all of this data they gather goes into the computer models we use. Other than that, there would be no data out over oceans. We have none, zero. There are no balloon launches out there. So when they fly those missions, it goes into the modeling, and the models are so much more accurate and dependable in terms of both placement and intensity. Those are heroes, the ones that fly to Keesler. We love them. They fly these modified C-130 airplanes. I've not done it before. I've known some that have, but they're just total heroes, and we're thankful for what they do. All right, one more, and we got to shut it down. Yes, sir.
I really enjoyed the podcast, Respect Polygon. How did that come about with Michael Lewis?
So listen, all these goofy sayings I say, it's out of social science. We learned in 2011 people did not understand how tornado warnings are issued. So let's say that a little segment of Jefferson County is under a tornado warning. Let's say it affects McCalla. Y'all know where McCalla is, right? All right, McCalla is in a tornado warning polygon, but downtown Birmingham is not. But some people heard that Jefferson County is under a tornado warning, so everybody down here is doing their tornado plans, including UAB Hospital. And listen, I've been in healthcare for 20 years as a volunteer. That is a complex operation when a hospital goes in a tornado warning polygon. And to fix that, we just decided we got to promote this polygon thing. People are thinking we use counties. No, we used small parts of counties. Tornadoes are small. So it was birthed out of social media studies. All these crazy things I say, there's a reason for that. And I think people have latched onto that. Again, we've made great progress. Are we perfect? No, but we made great progress. All right, guys, it is time. It's a wrap. Thank you all for letting me come. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
James, thank you. What a passionate guy. We appreciate all that you have done in your career and continue to do. It's really great to hear your story. We appreciate, again, you carving out some time to be with us today. In appreciation of that time, we are making a donation to your charity of choice, the Alabama Childhood Food. And we have a lot of traditions here at Kiwanis, and one was already mentioned, this cake thing. So, hey, I wasn't expecting this. We have a James Spann cake. If I cannot destroy it here. Yeah. Okay, so I'll try to. Oh, wow, buddy. See the James Spann cake?
This is outstanding.
There you go. We're not third graders. We're gonna cut out the cake. Is that right? There you go. All right.
Thank you so much.
You bet. And one of our members, Jenny McCain, would like to give you this political cottage jam, not necessarily for the cake, but you're welcome to add it to the cake. There you go. But thank you again for being here. Really, really great presentation. All right, Kiwanians, we will give you the week off next week. I hope you all have a great Labor Day weekend, first college football weekend. We will see you again on the 9th as we close out the Kiwanis year with a few more speakers. So Keith Pennington, CEO of UAB Medical Center West, John Turner, Chair, CEO, and President of Regions Bank, Tommy Battle, Mayor of Huntsville, Alabama, and we will close out with NBA legend Dominique Wilkins.